welcome back, once again adventurers, to Let's Play Chaos Child. In the last episode, Takuru and Kazuki were somewhat embarrassed when Nono Kurisu arrived with more than a little concern, but fortunately she seemed to understand their situation, having faced off against Riko Haida, who is now gone forever, as we've long since established. But luckily Kurisu was willing to basically get them fresh clothes and fresh food, which is very fitting of the Heikyo Academy Student Council President. But we actually have more pressing concerns than not showering, because turns out that Kazuki's power is manifesting multiple portal device points all over the city. And that's not the only outcome, because whilst said portal devices can't actually teleport people, they are manifesting something else, multiple things that are manifesting out of that unfathomable abyss that is the Dark Sea, which just so happens to be pretty much some of the strongest monsters in all of SO2. There was a flame arc dragon, which promptly ate a reporter as she was not really realizing the danger that she was in. And now there are more creatures. According to Kazuki, this thing right here that we're staring at is a poison arc dragon. And I remember how well poison went down in the world of the Forgotten Realms of the Dungeons and Dragons universe. Oy vey. Not only that, it has friends. A pair of creatures which I'd originally hoped were a pair of yetis or something along those lines, given Takuru's quaint description of them. And then Kazuki had to ruin all my hopes by referring to them as snow liches. Now, I do hope that, well, I do hope that she's entirely mistaken and that the name is nothing more than a just a cool appellation for them, because yeah, for anyone who's ever played Dungeons and Dragons, or hell, any fantasy RPG thing, liches are not to be trifled with, especially in the realms of magic. And if memory serves, they are yeah, very formidable and very difficult to kill. And something in my bones is telling me that these are far from the only creatures that we're going to be encountering at these portal device points. But I swear, I even see so much as a silhouette of an illithid, or that creature from the final chamber of Watcher's Keep, I'm just gonna throw up my hands and say I'm out. I cannot deal with that. Yeah, they're all SO2 monsters. And there's going to be more. Kazuki nodded. And we don't, it really did feel like I was looking at a computer model, except these creatures haven't been inadvertently rebooted into existence are completely 100% organic and 100% lethal. And we might have D-swords on our side that can help deal with these creatures. I am very hesitant to use the terms turn the tide and fend them off because, yeah, it didn't seem real, but we have no choice but to accept it as reality since they have already achieved shared recognition. Yeah, it's not referred to as a poison dragon for nothing, Takuru. I smelled something kind of rotten. It was a stinging stench that hung in the nose. I could see several red lumps around the feet of the monsters. Yeah, they've already attacked and maimed other unfortunate souls who just happened to be in the vicinity. I looked closely to see what they were and quickly realized they'd once been human. Yeah, we saw what happened to that reporter on television. And now these people were just bloody lumps of flesh. They've been crushed, torn apart, and left there. And it was more than one or two people. There were at least 10 of them lying on the ground. Yeah. Small group of people versus giant dragon monster. When the number of portal devices had increased, so had the number of victims. Only then did I finally realize that the stench was coming from the corpses. It was so awful I wanted to throw up. Unfortunately, that's going to draw the attention of the monsters. I'd seen the reporter die in the news today. It had been a shock, but it also felt like seeing a movie. It hadn't seemed real. But the smell was different. It was all too real. It told me what I was seeing was real before my brain had even started to process it. But I couldn't just stand here in shock. Otherwise we would be joining said victims. I needed to continue my investigation without having to fight these creatures. The third one we've encountered so far. The question is, how do we get rid of them? Because, yeah. Somehow, there are people in Shibuya that are echoing Kazuki's manifested delusion because of the way that her unique power works. Which meant that it was safe to assume that there was a fourth and a fifth, and more besides. How many of them were we going to find? Too many for my liking. Ito might be fine, but what about Seriko and Kurusu? Maybe asking them for help was a mistake, even though they're going to get involved anyway. I hadn't realized Shibuya was so dangerous. Oh, now you realize, after everything that had happened up until this point, now you're realizing how dangerous Shibuya is. In the world of SO2, it is probably nigh impossible to destroy a portal device. But these are real booted delusions, so there has to be a way. Kazuki shook her head helplessly. Yeah, that's what I thought.
消せればそれが一番いいかもだけど。わかんない。
これまではどうだったんだ？これまでにも和樹が現実化してしまったものはあったはずだろう。
That's only going to add to our pile of woes. We don't need other things manifesting inadvertently. Remember what Neidhart told us. Yeah, she says a word, Kazuki says a word, someone else hears it, and it manifests into a delusion, then somehow it passes on inadvertently to somebody else, and it changes, and it goes to somebody else, and it changes.
そういうのはその後どうなった？現実化したままずっと存在し続けているのか？それとも何かのタイミングで消えたのか？
All of a sudden, Kazuki has a smile on her face. I know I'm going to regret this, but I'm going to assume that's a smile of hope. I think. For some reason, Kazuki smiled. Her smile was a mix of sadness and resignation. Okay, I knew that that was too much to ask. It was the only answer I needed. Yeah. So somehow when these shared delusions are rebooted inadvertently by other people, they basically end up existing far longer than conventional delusions. She seemed to be saying that there was no way we'd be lucky enough that they'd just disappear.
だったら渋谷はずっとこのままなのか？
Suddenly I heard the faint noise of a car engine behind me. Oh god. Just as I spun around, I heard the roar of a beast drown it out. I looked down the hill and...
おいおい。
I think it's safe to say we're in trouble. We are definitely in trouble. I saw a patrol car barreling towards us at top speed. Behind were 5 or so monsters storming after it. God damn it.
なんだよあれ。
There were other monsters. Oh, no shit, there were other monsters. And they weren't just wandering around near the portal devices, but moving around the city. Yeah, it's safe to say Shibuya has been overrun, completely and utterly. All 5 of them were the same types as the one near the portal device. 3 were hairy giants and 2 were dragons.
っていうか、こっちに来る。
Yeah, we need to go. And they were pretty fast too. Even the cop car couldn't shake them off. Well, hate to cut and run, Mr. Officer, but wait, that meant the car was bringing the monsters to us.
英数と同じ。トレイン行為やるプレイヤーはクズまたはバカかも。
That, yeah, kind of sharing your emotions there. Anyway, train doesn't actually refer to a train in the ordinary sense, nor does it mean level grinding. Game jargon, primarily used in MMORPGs, in games where monsters attempt to attack any player who comes within a certain distance. It is possible to move just out of the monster's attack radius, causing it to follow you. Multiple monsters can be gathered up in this manner, causing them to form a train behind the player. This is called training. Okay, so I was kind of wrong there. Ish. Sometimes the player simply panics and trains by accident, but it is often done deliberately. There are many reasons why someone might decide to do this, but because it can cause nearby players to be caught up in a fight against a large number of monsters, it's considered by most players to be bad manners. I didn't know if it was a common thing that people did, but I understood the nuance.
隠れようやり過ごすんだ
I pulled Kazuki by the hand and ran down the stairs to a shop that sold grilled beef tongue. At the bottom of the stairs was the entrance to the store, but all the lights were off inside. Well, it's better than nothing. We would hide inside and wait for them to pass. I couldn't see what was going on outside from here, but we can still hear what's going on. My only option was to rely on the sound. I could hear the sound of the police car and the sound of the monster's footsteps shaking the earth. Kazuki gripped my hand tight. If they'd already found us, just imagining it made me shiver. I didn't think those huge monsters could fit down the tiny stairs, but was hiding down here a good idea? Probably not under the circumstances. There was nowhere to run. Kazuki and I instinctively clutched each other tightly, holding our breath and concentrating on the sounds outside. I could hear the squeal of the tires as the patrol car turned down the intersection in front of us. The monsters howled again. The earth shook even more violently. Our situation has become truly dire, it seems. Please don't notice us. All I could do was pray. Sounds got further away. Well, we lucked out this time. I couldn't hear the police car either.
やり過ごせたのか
Maybe, maybe not.
助かった
I wouldn't exactly call us saved. But we're alive for now, and that's all that matters. For the moment. It was then I realized that Kazuki was clinging to me, or more specifically that I was clinging to her. I'd been holding her so tight that her chest was heaving up and down in pain.
ごめん
I quickly backed away. Kazuki fidgeted a little and took several deep breaths. Kenji... Oh, god damn it, Takuru. Kenji Minami Kawata Never mind. The Cool Cat Press author would have been able to come up with the perfect dandy remark to say at a time like this, I bet. I walked up the stairs and took another look at the portal device in front of Parku. The monsters were gone. For the moment. Unfortunately, actually physically interacting with said portal device would net us the exact same unfortunate fate as Rico, which is basically being dissolved into icy particles instead of being teleported. The police car had drawn away the three monsters that were around the device. Well, what about the other ones? We might be able to make it past now if more monsters don't appear out of the ether. The two of us looked at one another and out from the stairs. But as we tried to run down Spain Hill, we saw something and froze. The portal device was shining with a strange golden light. Not again. I could hear a loud noise, like clashing metal. I watched in shock as the light around the portal began to coalesce into a monster. It was the same thing I'd seen on the news, which meant that we
また出てくるぞ。
need to leave. I motioned to Kazuki and we quickly turned back. By the time we made it back to the school, we were both too out of breath to run anymore. But, yeah, the important thing is that we actually made it. Are the monsters just going to keep appearing? If so, then maybe no one would be able to live in Shibuya anymore. And it would be our fault. I suddenly heard a brief blast from a siren. It was another patrol car. Was it the one that had been training the monsters earlier? But I didn't see any monsters around, so it's a different car. The patrol car stopped in front of us. The driver's side window opened, and the officer within spoke to us. Well, that thing that we thought about earlier that might have happened is happening now.
さっきこっちの方に別のパトカーが来なかったか
Ah, that's unfortunate. That other patrol car was a colleague. Kazuki and I both nodded.
どこで見たどっちに行った
パルク前で。
I didn't know which way it had gone, since I hadn't seen it myself. As we stood there in silence, the policeman motioned to us.
とりあえず君たち乗りなさいこんなところを歩いていたら危ない安全なところまで送るから
でも。
死にたいのか化け物がうろついてるんだぞほら早く
I almost told him that he should blame the patrol car that had been training back there, but changed my mind. The policeman was risking his life trying to protect us. He was fighting to get people out of the city, even if it meant facing the risk of being attacked by monsters, which is about as far from being safe as you can get. I couldn't turn him down just because I wanted to continue my investigations. Well, the next day we all gathered in the club room. Well, we're not out of the city. Either that or we just came straight back in anyway, somehow. Ito had come all the way around from Harajuku, he said. It wasn't safe to walk around in Shibuya anymore. The school itself was supposed to be closed, which made sense because of the portal device on the roof. But strangely, no monsters had appeared from the school's portal device. I didn't know why, though. And finding out might actually net us a clue. Kurisu looked pale. Yeah, there's no surprise. Whenever I looked at her, she was silent and concerned. Even this is a situation that she can't simply turn a blind eye to. That was a normal reaction to what was happening in Shibuya, I thought. For his part, Ito didn't look tired at all. Whenever my eyes would meet his, he would poke me with his elbow.
おいおい。お前、和樹といつの間にそういう関係になってたんだよ。
そういう関係って？
とぼけんなって。お前はリア充じゃないと思ってたのに、まんまと抜け駆けしやがってこの子の。それにしても、尾上でも女帝でもなく和樹とはな。ああいうのが趣味だったとは意外だぜ。やっぱあれか？スルメの口移しとかしてイチャイチャしてんのか？イカってところがエロいな。くっそ
ー Ito, even if I didn't know that you were being controlled from behind the scenes by Wataru Sakama, shut the hell up, please. What the hell was he talking about? Was he stupid?
伊藤くん
Yeah, and speaking of Empress, forgive me, the Empress, Kurisu glared at him. The ice in her stare was well below freezing.
そういうゲスな話をするなら今すぐ出てってくれる？
すいません。
Kurisu sighed and opened her bag. She brought an especially big bag today. She took some wrapped up boxes out of the bag and put them on the table. Ah, supplies.
和樹と一緒に後で食べなさい。
I unwrapped them and saw that they contained sandwiches.
別にいいのに。
いいのにじゃないでしょ。コンビニやスーパーがいつも通りに開いてると思ってるの？
Good point.
油断していると食事に困って大変なことになるわよ。
To be honest, I was incredibly grateful. Just like Kurisu had said, none of the stores were open. Last night we had to go all the way to Tomigaya.
あと来てないのは尾上だけか？大丈夫かよ。
It was right. Serika wasn't here. I just set the meeting time to around noon, so it wasn't like she was late, but yeah. I was still worried. Then again, I doubt that Serika and Oe fit monsters from a fantasy realm into her plans. Shibuya was swarming with monsters right now. If one of them attacked her on the way to school. Just as I was thinking about going to look for her, the door to the club room flung open and Serika came running in. Yeah, didn't think that was gonna happen.
ああ、みんなもう勢ぞろいしてる。遅刻しちゃった。遅れるなら連絡しなさい。状況が状況なのよ。
Yeah, late is definitely putting it mildly there, Serica.
ごめん。誰もいない学校ってワクワクしない？ついつい体育館の方までぐるーっと回ってきちゃった。
Probably should not have said that out loud. Was that why she was late? I didn't know whether she was brave, thoughtless, or just dumb. I didn't know how she could laugh at a time like this. Oh, you'd be surprised.
ああ、ねえ、ひなちゃんは呼ばなくてよかったの？
Yeah, where
なん
is
で有
Anai?
村を？
She wasn't part of the newspaper club.
手から火を出す人に襲われたんでしょ？あれと関係してるのかなって。
Yeah. Rico was no longer a part of this equation, Serica.
関係はしてるけれど、していないって言った方が正しいかもな。
それ日本語になってないぞ。
少なくともあの女はもう僕らを襲ってこないと思う。
I wasn't sure that I'd never see her again yet, but
有村はあの日大丈夫だったんだよな。
私たちがずっと一緒にいたから。その日は有村さんも青葉寮に泊まらせたの。翌朝にはだいぶ落ち着いたようだったから帰らせたんだけど。
then there was no need to worry about her. Even though there is a little need to
さて、
worry.
それじゃあ始めさせてもらっていいか。昨日みんなに頼んで渋谷のあちこちを調査してもらったわけだけど、今渋谷にはいくつポータル装置が出現しているのか、それをまとめたいんだ。
I'm gonna go out on a hunch and say quite a few. I explained to everyone that they were called portal devices because they came from a game called SO2.
よくわかんない。もっとちゃんと説明してくれないとちんぷんかんぷんだよ。
Yeah, I'm gonna have to explain that Kazuki is a gigalomaniac as well.
どうしてそのなんとか装置ってのが花ちゃんやタクに関係してるの？
Yeah. Kazuki plays SO2. These devices are from SO2. Put two and two together.
尾上には説明しなくても大丈夫じゃないか。だってどっちにしろわからないんだから。
ああ、そっか。
That was good enough for her.
でも一応聞きたいよ。タクル、ちゃんと説明しなさい。人が死んでいるのよ。しかもたくさん。あの化け物は何なの？
ああ、俺も見た。パトカーを襲ってた。それと最初に生中継された例のニュースも。ありゃ、なんだ？
Yeah.
モンスターだ。文字通り。
And guess which game they're from? SO2.
時間を追うごとに増殖している。
増えてるって？マジかよ。
Multiplying is not quite the concept that I would use, but
遺
yes.
体があちこちに放置されていた。あんな ひどい。それがあなたたちのせいだと言うなら説明して。
Uh, I might be able to talk my way out of explaining things to Serika or Ito, but wasn't going to work on Kurisu. I said on the phone yesterday that the portals and the portal devices and monsters might be my fault after all. Kazuki was standing in front of the whiteboard, staring down at her feet. It wouldn't be right not to explain, and even Kazuki knows that. After all that had happened, there was no way I'd be able to keep it a secret. It would probably be better just to explain things to the people in the newspaper club. And so I told them everything, including the secret of Kazuki's power. At first, no one seemed to know how to react. Then they all looked astonished. I thought Ito would tell me to stop joking around, but by the time I was halfway done, he was holding his head in his hands.
マジかよ。お前らシャレにならないだろ。
信じるのか？
I think it probably would have been better if Kazuki had just drawn her D sword as irrefutable proof.
信じるさ。宮代と和樹が急接近した理由がずっと謎だったんだ。だって宮代が和樹を口説くなんて絶対想像つかないだろう。でも今の説明でやっと納得した。
Now is not the time for your musings, Ito, unless you want to be kicked out.
注目するところはそこなの？
何にせよ、この件に関しては真意を議論するつもりはない。今はポータル装置のことを優先させてくれ。
Everyone nodded. Well, I'm glad we got that sorted.
それじゃあ一人ずつ報告していくか。どこでそのポータル装置だっけ？それを見かけたか？
実は昨日調査中に警察に見つかってパトカーに乗せられたんだけれど、その時に警察が掴んでいる情報を教えてもらったんだ。
Well, at least they were kind enough to share information.
みんなから報告を受けた後で照合してみる。
じゃあ俺からな。
Very well then.
俺は2つ見つけた。
2. God damn it.
恵比寿から渋谷駅に向かって明治通りをずっと歩いていったら、渋谷警察署の手前に一つ浮かんでた。
Right in front of Shibuya State Police Station, huh?
慌てて渋谷川を渡って桜ヶ丘町の方に逃げたよ。で、六本木通りを渡ろうとしたら、今度は南口のバスターミナルにもあった。
The South Exit Bus Terminal.
あのモンスター、すげえキモいな。もやい像が動き出したのかと思った。
Not sure if they have creatures like that in SO2.
明治通りの渋谷警察署手前と駅南口のバスターミナルだな。
I should mark this on the map. Yeah. Well, Now we have to mark down where exactly they are, and yeah, that's actually a convenient thing about this particular localization patch from Committee of Zero, because I actually think that originally this map was entirely in Japanese, which which would ultimately make this particular thing incredibly difficult to solve unless you actually were familiar with the layout of Shibuya. But I'm actually thinking that I probably might call this an episode, actually. I know that this was fairly short, but yeah. So for reasons that I'll explain next time, you'll understand why that I'm doing this. But for now, I shall leave things as they are, and when we return, adventurers, we shall continue our investigations into these strange and unusual portal devices. As always, until next we meet.